we're covering is going to be areas of sectors and segments of circles. So a sector of a circle is a region bounded by two radii of a circle and their intercepted arc. So here, just like we found the arc length, now we're going to do the area. So this is what we were finding in our previous problems. Now what we're finding is the area, so the space here. Okay. So we are going to do proportions just like we did before. Oh, it scared me. The only thing is that we are finding area as well. So here, it says find the area of the shaded sector. Give your answer rounded to the nearest 10. So this is 820 degrees. Okay, a full circle is 360. So we are just looking for the area of that sector, and we need to put it over the total area of our circle. So the area, the formula for a circle is pi r squared. In this case, our radius is 9 inches, so it's going to be pi 9 squared. Or when we write it, we'll write it as 81 pi. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and put 81 pi, and we're going to cross multiply it. So when I multiply, I'm going to go ahead and multiply 81 times 120. That gives us 9,720 equals, and then we multiply 360 times x. Oh, I forgot the pi. And then we do 360x. Okay, then to solve for x, we're going to go ahead and divide by 360. And so because it does say to the nearest tenth, I'm just going to go ahead and put all this in my calculator. So 9,720 times pi divided by 360. And that gives us 84.8. Our units are inches squared. All right, the next one. So here, our arc length here is 70. It's out of a total of 360. Is equal to, we're looking for the area of the sector. And we need to put over the total area. So I'm going to find it here off to the side. So our formula to find the area of a circle is pi r squared. In this case, our radius is 6. So 6 squared. So when I simplify this gives me 36 pi. So that's what goes here on the bottom is the total area. So we go ahead and cross multiply. So 70 times 36. That gives us 2,520 equals 360x. Then from there, we're going to go ahead and, oh, I forgot the pi again. We divide both sides by the 360. This cancels. And so we're going to take the 2,520, multiply it times a pi, and then we divide by 360, and that gives us 21.99 equals our x. So since we're rounding, it'll be 22.0. Our units are centimeters squared equals x. All right, so the next one here, it says solve the following, wait, did that one say? This one said in terms of pi, sorry, I'm not reading correctly. So then instead of giving this decimal form, all we're gonna do is take this part right here, and we're gonna reduce it. So 2,520 divided by 360, we're gonna reduce it, that gives us 7. So it's actually gonna give us, instead of 22.0, it's actually 7 pi centimeters squared. All right, the next part, a portion of a circular playground is going to be seeded with grass as shown below, which is the area of the portion not to be seeded. Okay, so because it says not to be seeded, then we're talking about this angle on this side. So they give us a portion to be seeded, okay, but we're looking for the not seeded. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 360 in one circle and subtract the 135. And that gives us 225. And so we're going to set up our proportion. 225 out of a total of 360 equals x over, I'm going to find the area of my circle. So area equals pi r squared. In this case, my radius is 25, so 25 squared. So 25 squared gives me 625 pi. So that's what goes down here. You cross multiply, so 225 times 625 gives me 140,625 pi equals 360 times x is 360x. We divide both sides by 360, and that gives us 1,227.2. Our units are feet squared. All right, the next one says some friends ordered a pizza. The pizza was a large with a 16-inch diameter. If the pizza was cut into 8 equal slices, what was the approximate area of the top of one of the pieces of the pizza? Okay, so we're looking for 1 out of 8, 1 out of the 8 slices. Okay, and we don't know what the one area is. And on the bottom, we're gonna put the area of our pizza. So area equals pi r squared. Our radius here is gonna be 8 because they tell us the diameter is 16. So 8 squared, which gives us 64 pi. So that's what's gonna go down here. We cross multiply and we get 64 pi equals 8x. We divide both sides by 8, and since this is a real world problem, we're gonna leave it in decimal form, not in terms of pi. And so this gives me 25.1. Our units are inches squared. So the area of one slice of pizza, since I know everybody is so curious, is 25.1 inches squared. All right. So then the next part, it says in circle O, the area of a sector AOB is 48 pi. So this time they give us the area of the sector. And the measure of angle AOB is 270. Find the radius. Okay, so I'm going to set up my proportion. So our sector is 270 degrees out of a total of 360. The area of the sector is 48 pi, and they want us to find the radius. Well, we put it over the total area of the circle, which would be pi r squared. Okay. So from here, we go ahead and cross multiply. So we're going to do 270 times pi r squared equals, I'm going to multiply the 360 times the 48, and that gives me 17,280 pi. Okay, then from there, to solve for r, I'm going to get rid of this 270 pi. What I do to one side, I got to do to the other side. So pi's cancel, the 270's cancel, and we get r squared equals. Here the pi's cancel, we're going to take the 17,280 and divide it by 270, and that gives me 64. So our last step to solve for the radius is to take the square root, so we get r equals 8, and our units here, they don't give us any units, so it's just 8. All right, so this next one, it says find the area of the following figure. So here I have two shapes. I have a circle and I have a square. Now the square kind of cuts into the circle, and they tell us this is 90 degrees. So my circle, if I do 360 minus 90, it's going to give me this side right here, and that is going to be 270 degrees. Okay. So I'm going to have to find the two shapes, the area of the two shapes separately. So first I'm going to find the area of the sector by setting up my proportion. So 270 out of 360 equals x over my area, which is pi r squared. Okay. My radius is going to be 20 because if from here to here is 20, that means from here to here is 20. So area equals pi times 20 squared. Okay. That ends up being 400 pi. And then we cross multiply. So 270 times 400 gives me 108. 108,000 pi equals 360x. Then to solve for x, we're going to divide by 360. And so I'm going to go ahead and give this as a decimal because it did ask it for the nearest tenth. So 942.5 meters squared is going to be the area of our sector. So now the area of the square is going to be 20 times 20 base times height, which is 400. So to find the total area, I add them up together, and that gives me 1,342.5 meters squared. All right, and the last part. So it says a segment of a circle is a region bounded by an arc and a chord. The area of the segment is the area of the sector ABC minus the area of the triangle ABC. Okay, so let's look at the first one. So here we're gonna find the area of the whole sector. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and find that real quick. So we have this angle, they tell us is 90 out of a total of 360 equals the area of the sector, that's what we're looking for, over the total area. So the area equals pi r squared. Since our radius is 2, it's going to be pi 2 squared. And that ends up giving us pi 4 pi. So that's what goes right here. So we cross multiply, and this gives me 360 pi equals 360x. We divide both sides by 360 to solve for x. This cancels, and that gives us pi. So that means the area of the sector is pi. Then we're going to subtract the area of the triangle, whatever the area of the triangle is. So this is my triangle. If I take this part out, it'll give me only the area of this little section right here. Okay, so the area of the triangle, the formula is going to be base times height divided by 2. So 2 times 2 divided by 2, which gives us 2. That's the area of my triangle. So we're going to take pi minus 2. I'm going to go ahead and put that in my calculator. And that gives me 1.14, and our units are inches. So it says to the nearest tenth, so it should just be 1.1 inches squared. All right, the next one. So here, they tell us that this angle here is 60 for a triangle, so we're going to have to find the area first of our sector. So we have 60 degrees out of a total of 360 equals x over the area of my circle, which is pi r squared. Our radius is 8, so pi 8 squared, which is 64 pi. Okay, we cross multiply. So 60 times 64 gives me 3,840 pi equals 360x. I divide both sides by 360. This cancels. This gives me 32 over 3 pi. Okay. So now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and subtract the area of the triangle. Okay, so to find the area of our triangle, we're going to take the base times the height and divide it by 2. Okay. Unfortunately, it doesn't give us the base or the height. Well, this is our base, sorry. They give us a base, but not the height. So we're going to find the height by using our special right triangles. I'm going to draw it here to the side. So remember, with our 30, 60, 90 triangles, the side across the 30 is x, the side across the 90 is 2 times x, and the side across the 60 is x and the square root of 3. So in this case, because we are looking for the side across the 60-degree angle, which is this one, we know this whole thing is 8, so just from here to here is 4, so that means x is equal to 4, which makes our height 4 and the square root of 3. So now we're ready to find the area of our triangle. Our base is 8, our height is 4 and the square root of 3, and we're going to divide that by 2. And so since we're rounding to the nearest tenth, I'm just going to go ahead and multiply it out. So I'm going to put everything in my calculator exactly the way I see it. And that gives me 27.7. So we're going to have to get 32 over 3 times pi and subtract the 27.7. And that gives me 5.79. So since we're rounding, that's going to give me 5.8. Our units are meters squared. All right, so last example here. We're going to do the exact same thing again. So we're going to find the area of the sector. So 120 degrees is our sector. We're going to take the area of the sector, which we don't know, divided by the total area of the circle. So the total area is going to be pi r squared. In this case, my radius is 4. So that means that my area is 16 pi. cross multiply, so 16 times 120 gives me 1,920 equals 316x. We divide both sides by 360 to solve for x. And so 1920, I'm going to go ahead and just put this as a decimal already. Divided by 360, that gives me 16.8. Okay. Now we need to subtract the area of the triangle. Okay, so to find the area of the triangle, we're going to have to do base times height divided by 2. This right here is going to be my height. So I end up cutting this angle here in half, and this ends up being 60. Okay, so then that means that the 4 is the one across my 90-degree angle, so I'm going to draw that triangle here real quick. This is the 60, this is the 4, this is my 90-degree angle. So the one across my 30 is x, the one across my 60 is x and the square root of 3, and the one across my 90-degree angle is 2 times x. Okay, so if 2 times x equals 4, that means x is equal to 2, which means this piece is 2, which is my base of my triangle. Is it? No, it's the height, I'm sorry. That times 2 divided by 2. So now we're going to find the base, which is this whole thing right here, which is the side across my 60 would be 2 in the square root of 3. So this piece would be 2 in the square root of 3. This would be 2 in the square root of 3, because this is one triangle. And that ends up being 4 in the square root of 3. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of that in my calculator, just the way you see it. And that gives me 6.9. So the area of my triangle, I'm going to go ahead and do 16.8 minus 6.9. And that gives me 9.9. My units here are miles squared. And that's it.